my wife knows I dabble on the internet all the time, and
Sure.
I didn't tell her till that first week. I was like, I started something, and I think I just made $600 this week by selling hoodies online. And she
That's
laughed.
crazy. John, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate your time, and I think maybe what we'll do is start with some results. If you want to talk through where the store is currently at in terms of total sales, total amount of orders, and what is the time frame for all of that as well.
Yeah, well, I started August of 2022, and we're 14 months in now, and I just passed $260,000 in revenue.
How many total orders is that?
3,400.
Cool. And that's all with the one product that you're selling, which we'll talk through in a little bit though, right?
Yes, the all over print hooded sweatshirt from Subliminators.
I am showing on my screen right now inside of the Subliminator app, but talk a little bit about this item, the quality of it. I know you've ordered some samples. Talk a little bit about like your sales price and stuff like that.
Yeah, when I began, I tested out several products that you had mentioned, and everybody likes a hoodie. The hoodie is what ended up taking off. So it's the all over print hoodie from Subliminator. It's the fashion one that has a 20% cotton. A lot of them
Yeah.
are more polyester, so the cotton just kind of feels a little nicer. And
Sure.
it has a fleece liner, so even though it's 80% polyester on the outside, the fleece liner on the inside is really soft, and
Yeah.
that's a lot of good feedback.
I think it's important too what you said about the quality. Sometimes people are afraid to sell all over printed products like this. I think that they might think that they're not that soft because they do have such a high polyester count. Was that something that worried you when you were starting to sell this, or were you surprised when you got the sample in that it actually felt nice?
A little both, because I watched your videos. I had some confidence in it, what I was ordering.
Sure.
But when my site took off kind of so quickly, once the hoodie gravitated to the audience,
Sure.
I was still waiting for my samples to come in. So the first few orders, a little nervous about the product,
The
but once I
quality.
got it, I
Yeah.
was relieved because the fleece liner is definitely really nice. And I normally
Yeah.
wear my own. I didn't do it for the camera, but it is,
Sure.
falls here. It's a nice
Sure.
hoodie to wear right now.
Awesome. And before we talk a little bit about some of the marketing stuff, what are you selling the hoodie at on your store?
Yeah, basically $60, and then
Okay.
I charge about $7 for shipping. Now also
Awesome.
free shipping over $75.
John is a member of the POD University Mug Club. John, how many mugs do you have at this point?
I think it's six.
6 mugs. Nice. Yeah.
This is the first one, the 100K.
The 1,000.
Oh, yeah, sorry, 1,000.
Yep. Nice.
10K, and then last one was the 250K.
Nice. Yeah. John was joking earlier that it's kind of like Pokemon where you have to try to catch them all. The Mug Club is basically a trophy system for the POD University program. At this point, there's about 100 of you inside of it. So pretty cool stuff. Now, part of John's story is unique. And I say unique, John, in the sense that you did $100,000 in sales in the first 90 days launching your store. Talk a little bit about what that was like when you first started to launch some of your ad campaigns and the orders started to come in.
Yeah, it was a little surreal. I always say I kind of didn't mean to open a print on demand store. I found Joe for just trying to get updated on Facebook ads from a different thing
Sure.
I do on the side. And like the more I watch Joe, I kind of go, well, maybe I should give this print on demand thing a try. So when I launched, I think it's a lot about timing because August leading into Q4 obviously is a good time to launch. So
Definitely.
that first week, once I did the general testing store, so I knew I have a lot of hobbies. I knew I wanted to do something outdoorsy. So like I mentioned, I tried car seats for mountain bikers, and I did different hoodies for different interests. They didn't take off. Mostly, I think my designs was kind of lackluster. And then the one that took off, it's not elaborate, but it's unique. And so once I had that winning product, a couple of sales came in. I totally leaned into it. I took all the other products off my site and took a general testing platform and built out a full navigation and a full. And when I say full website, I think people would be surprised on how basic my website still is. My logo is very just plain, just text. I have a special font, but there's not a lot going on. I'm still using the free DOM theme.
Awesome.
Yeah, previous things I've used to spend a lot of money on themes thinking that's going to make the difference, but it doesn't. I mean, it could help.
Sure. One of the biggest things that I hear people say about maybe not wanting to use a place like Shopify is how expensive it gets. They talk about, using a really expensive theme or a really expensive app that you're installing into the site. Do you have any apps? I know you mentioned that you are using a free theme. Do you use any paid apps on the store?
Paid apps. At this point, I don't think so. There's a lot of things I need to be doing. I have some paid apps for I have MailChimp and and pop-ups, and I'm not doing any of that. That's things I still have to get.
So there's not you don't have $100 a month in different apps that you're paying for in Shopify or anything like that.
Absolutely not. No. Most of these other apps are $5 a month. No, I started with 0 apps, and the apps I do have installed are ones I need to get to using more to grow that organic Instagram following, those sort of things. But
got it.
right out of the gate, I had 0 apps, and it was a little bit of a surprise. The first week I did 1,000. The first month I did 10,000.
The first week of launching your ads, you did $1,000?
Yeah, and again, I think it's time in that first week of August,
Sure.
time, right shirt. And then so growing from there, it kind of got a little scary because, again, I hadn't received my samples and people were ordering.
Right.
So a little bit of a gut check when you're spending that much out there. You don't know how it's going to be received. But then once people received them and almost 0 issues, I just scaled up by repeating that design with a slightly different elements to make a different hoodie with similar audience. So I got 4 or 5 of my main hoodies now, and I got a whole bunch that don't sell. They're still on there because they still fit the overall niche, but they're just not people want to buy, but it helps build out the site a little bit more, I believe.
Sure. So one of the things that I try to do with all of my content, and you know, whether it's YouTube or inside of POD University, is talk about how, you know, you can start your social media ads with a really low budget. And you're someone that follows that. What we do is we start all of our ads at $1 a day. Talk us through when you started launching some of these ads that were lower budget. Like, what was the thought process like as the orders were coming in and as you began to scale up? Like, just I remember me specifically thinking when I first had my first store that was like really working, it was like an aha moment where I was like, wow, this is working. Talk us through that, right? Like, you're sitting there, orders are coming in. Just describe that feeling.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Did the $1 a day pay per engagement. So I found my audiences by the interests and then launching over the conversion. So now instead of $1 a day times, you know, I had 10 different tests going on. So it was $10 a day to jumping into a conversion campaign where I'm running 5 tests at $5 a day. So, you know, floating out there $25 a day and you got to run for a couple of days. That was a little bit of, well, I could add up real quickly.
Yeah. How quick, once you increased to $5 a day across multiple ads, how quickly did orders start to, like, were you profitable right away or did it take a little while?
Well, I was getting some sales off the PPE tests too.
Okay.
I would say I was profitable that first week, and that was kind of the joke. It started this August, and the first weekend, my wife knows I dabble on the internet all the time, and I didn't tell her till that first week. I was like, you know, I started something, and I think I just made $600 this week by selling hoodies online, and she laughed.
That's crazy.
And so I had the app on my phone go cha-ching, ka-ching, and so it's kind of a joke.
Yeah.
Every time I went ka-ching, you know, hey, there's $10.
That's awesome.
Yeah, scaling up from there, it's just $5 increments every 3 days until in my ad spend, you know, the cost per acquisition, as you say, you got to account for at least $20 or $25. So I was watching that, make sure I didn't go over my budget for marketing per sale.
Sure. I know a lot of people, when they're getting into this, they get concerned about being able to fulfill their orders, right? Because when you're running a Shopify store or even an Etsy shop or something, and you're using a print-on-demand supplier like Subliminator or something like Printify, you have to pay for your orders up front. Talk us through how you did that, because, you know, you're getting all these orders coming in. How are you also simultaneously paying for all of those orders without actually accessing all of that money?
I guess I do also have a side fund I do have another side business, Amazon selling. So I had a slush fund there, but I didn't want to get into that per se. So my Subliminator account is tied to an Alaska credit card. And so as Subliminator charges me, I get airline miles. So that helps. And then, you know, it takes 3 days for when your customer purchases for those funds to hit your account. So about every 3 days, I didn't go pay off my credit card with those funds coming in. That way I'm getting free airline miles. It's kind of a cash flow balance there.
Right.
I would say it's cautionary because you could really run out of balance pretty quick if you don't pay off. You know, you don't have to scale up so fast. So if people don't have that available slush fund to back that up, you know, scale slower. What's more comfortable.
I was just going to say that sometimes people get afraid of having to pay for, you know, all of their orders. And one of the things that I tell them is exactly what you're doing, where you could put some sort of a credit card in place and then just every time the money hits your account, pay that credit card off. You don't have to wait till the due date. Worst case scenario, though, is you just wait a couple days to fulfill your orders, you know, and then as that sort of slush fund, as you call it, adds up, you'll be able to fulfill them quicker. You know, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if your first couple of orders had a, you know, couple extra days in terms of production because you had to wait to fulfill them. Do you do the same thing with your ads too? Do you have like a credit card hooked up to pay for the ads?
Yeah, at this point, I have the ads just pulling from my Shopify balance account. That's kind of a bigger bill that happens once or twice a month, and I don't want that to flip down credit card.
Sure.
One other tip, I mentioned this to somebody else in the group, there's 0% balance cards out there. So the airline mile card is 14% if they ever charge you the full amount. There's cards out there for zero intro APR for 12 months.
Got it. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of options. I use a card that gets me a lot of, not airline points, but just reward points in general. So if anybody out there is watching and you don't have something like that, definitely look into it, because if you have orders that are being processed, that's basically free money in the form of rewards points that you could be getting. As the orders started coming in, I know you mentioned earlier that, currently there's a few customer service inquiries on a daily basis. Did you ever notice like a sharp uptick in that, or has it always just been kind of consistent where just a couple of emails a day that you have to answer from customers come in?
Yeah, it's just more I scaled up. I think it's percentage wise. So the more sales I got, it grew incrementally with that. But it's never been more than 2 to 3 a day, and that's certainly manageable.
Sure. How much time per day do you think you spend on the business in general right now?
Well, not as much as I should if I wanted to grow. I do have a full-time day job, and
I mean, you've done 260,000 in sales in 14 months, so whatever time you are spending, it's working quite well.
yeah. Well, right now, basically, I just check my ads. We talked about this before. Fridays, Mondays, and on a Wednesday, just in between the two. Make sure everything's going good. I look at the maximum, but I also look at the last 7 days. Make sure things are not trending off. Looking at every day, I found that at first I did. I was like, oh my gosh, how are things doing? But I found that to be unhealthy and stressful, and things don't change in a day. So there's no point in doing that. But I would like to carve out more time, and everyone's time is, their lives are different. But I want to do the things we keep talking about, getting on the social and an affiliate program. And my site is more basic than I like, but those are things, everyone's got figure out their own time management, and I haven't figured out mine per se yet.
Sure. How much are you spending is paid ads on Facebook and on Instagram like the only way that you're promoting right now?
Yes.
Okay. And how much per day do you currently spend on ads?
I'm about $150 a day, and I'm averaging about $1,000 in revenue a day.
Nice. So that's probably, if you're selling the hoodies for $60 or so, that's like almost 20 orders a day, basically. Okay.
That doesn't add up.
Cool.
Well, so a lot of the orders are multiples too, so that kind of averages.
Oh, okay. Got it. So about $150 a day, $1,000 in sales. That's a pretty good multiple there if that's what you're averaging. How often do you launch like new ads? Are you constantly in there like once a week launching new ads, or are the ads that you have running basically just running and they are just working and you're just leaving them there?
Right now, yeah, it's just the ads that I know that worked. I did add 2 new shirts for this fall coming in. So a lot of what I'm doing is repeating what I did last fall to scale it back up.
Got it. Cool. You mentioned, I think just now, did you mean like that you're creating like new designs? Is that what you meant?
2 new designs leading into this fall season. I guess my other confession I should make is I'm trying to spin up another store. So that's taking my time, and launched that in April. I met a guy in the Ninja group, and he had some good ideas, and we kind of collaborate on that. So since April, that store has done $30,000.
Nice. So you got a second store that's done 5 figures in sales. That's awesome. That's definitely a pattern. At least for me over the years, I've had lots of different stores. I see others as well. Once they sort of get a concept that works. I'm not saying on your new store you're basically using the same concept, but I'm sure there's different things that you've drawn on in order to replicate that success. On the current store though, how many total designs do you have on it right now?
Yeah, so probably 50. And initially when it got real addicting to start with, because I was like, hey, cool, I designed something, people want to buy it. I have all these ideas. Not all the ideas panned out. And then come springtime, my sales basically fell off a cliff for a little bit. So I was trying to come up with things that were more summer oriented. And that's where I had a little bit more time this spring too to dive into it. So my line expanded, but still the core products are still about the 4 or 5 hoodies that are the mainstays. And I'm trying not to, overcrowd my store now with too many random hoodies that don't match overall niche.
Awesome. With your ads, are you running like ads that are, using images or videos? Maybe talk a little bit about your strategy there and how you showcase your products to people.
Yeah, when I started, all I had was the Subliminator computer image.
Yep, the mock-up,
The mock-up, thank you, yeah. So I took that front and back and put a background on it, and that's what I ran for. I'm still doing variations of that. Still my main go-to. I wish I had more photos of me wearing it in, outdoors somewhere in a nice area, but I haven't done that. I do have a couple photos that customers have sent in, so I use those mostly for the retargeting. So I start with my mock-up images. It's been working, and then I launched a retargeting ads to those that have seen a previous ad and not bought or been to my website and not bought. They see
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
hoodie along with a customer wearing it, and I think that helps.
Awesome. Yeah, I think sometimes people think that they, like have to, they hear me talk about, ordering samples, taking photos of them, using those photos in the marketing. That's something that certainly helps, but I want to just reiterate to everyone, you don't have to do that. That is a strategy that you can do, and that's why I asked you the question, so that way people would know that you still can make sales with just mock-ups. Cool. So it sounds like you have a great thing going right now. You have a relatively simple Shopify site. You have a handful of designs that are selling consistently. Things are kind of ramping up for Q4. What is maybe like the main thing that you're focused on doing now to like kind of take this to the next level?
Yep, as mentioned, the things I haven't done was Instagram. I'm pretty much non-existent, so I really
Sure.
want to get some sort of affiliate program going. I have 34 orders out there, so I want to turn some of those customers, and some of them are repeat customers,
Sure.
maybe as some of my ambassadors to help
Yep.
promote the product to their friends. Give them a discount code. Hey, give your buddies
Sure.
10% off. You get 10% commission, and I get more photos. So that's what I really
Sure.
need to spin up right now.
Yeah, awesome. As we kind of close with here, what do you think when it comes to like succeeding with print on demand in the way that you are doing it in terms of, Shopify site, selling on social media? What do you think is like the number one thing that, and I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here. What do you think is like the number one thing that people that are new to that might struggle with? I know that I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, I was pondering this, so I'm in your group and I see it's kind of the full gamut. Some people, I think there's like three categories of people. Those that have really good ideas and their execution of the ideas is pretty poor. So for those people, I'd say, use Fiverr, use a resource to take your idea and make it work,
Sure.
Make it better. And there's people that are really graphically capable, but they don't pick a niche. And you
Sure.
mentioned some of the comments is like, if I don't understand what your niche is when looking at your product, you don't have a niche.
Sure.
So I think that's good too. They have people with a lot of skills. They just haven't thought of the design fully. And
Yep.
then the third part is some people just get lost in Facebook ads. And
Yeah.
I'm not new to Facebook ads, so I didn't have that learning curve there. But I think a lot of people watch the videos and they try to execute it and they make some simple but big mistakes. And so to be patient with that process, and if it's not working, don't question their product necessarily. Maybe look back at the videos and watch it side by side and walk through it with one screen, doing your tutorials on one screen with their ad campaign up.
Yeah, one of the biggest things I think maybe that, like, at least when it comes to ads, is I think there's sometimes people that are new to running ads, they struggle because there's a lot of lingo involved sometimes with ads in terms of like different terms. And, one of the biggest things that I see when I'm working with someone that's new to it is there's, different words or different terms that I'm using and they're foreign to them. So I would say if you are getting into ads, like go through, some beginner stuff. I have some beginner stuff. There's also lots of things out there as well that will kind of give you like a crash course, a 101 type of a thing for Facebook ad account and the Facebook ads manager that could get you up to speed pretty quickly. And I'm someone who said, I don't know if you'll agree, John, and it's fine if you don't, but I'm someone that has always said, the ads and the marketing and setting up ad campaigns is the easy part. The hard part is creating a great store. The hard part is creating a great design and a cool concept for your niche. In your experience, I know you have background with the marketing side, but what are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's harder to create a winning concept or is it harder to market it?
No, I'm going to agree with you. I think if you have a good product, it's easier to market for sure. I'm someone that's graphically capable, but I'm not graphically creative. So sometimes I might have, looking at what other people are doing and then, seeing what's popular, Etsy, Redbubble, Amazon, everywhere you can buy shirts, you look at the bestseller list, that's inspiration. A lot of those things I'm doing, once I see, if you get a good product, it's easier to market for sure.
Cool, man. Well, like I said, I appreciate your time. I hope if people are, watching this, that they can, look to you as an example or, just inspiration. I think the story you told with you saying to your wife, like, hey, I created this thing and it's making sales is a pretty cool story. So thanks for sharing that. Appreciate the time, man. This was really cool. And I'm sure people watching it got a lot out of it.
Well, thank you.